rental can be crazy.
Healthcare,
A little subsidy or something.
reskilling.
We would need more support in that lah.
And that's a tough one.
Of course, more
It's possible.
would be good.
I'm an economist. I work in law and economics, political economy, public finance.
I work specifically on the aging population in the areas of housing, healthcare, and retirement adequacy.
The baby bonus, when you get, it goes away within the first 1 year. It's not enough to sustain a family.
The primary reason for the baby bonus is to encourage fertility.
The baby bonus cash gift was enhanced from $8,000 for the third and fourth child in 2012 to $10,000 in 2015.
Going forward, instead of a top-up of the baby bonus, what you could do is make the assistance for the families that need it a bit more targeted so that they're not disadvantaged.
When they go into university and all, that's the biggest problem that we worry about lah. Especially if they want to go private, maybe we can use our CPF or something to pay for their schools.
Of course, there is this desire for parents to do the best that they can for their children, but the CPF is primarily a tool for their own retirement adequacy. If the child needs support for their own education, then the government should provide that directly to the child.
Having different arrangements at work, having permission to work remotely or working from home because your child is sick.
That's a tough one. It's basically a question of culture.
Government-paid paternity leave, introduced in 2013 for married couples, was doubled to 2 weeks in 2017. Couples may also take another 4 weeks of shared parental leave.
And I think this is a point, if I'm not mistaken, that Minister for Manpower, Josephine Teo, has already mentioned several times. I think the government believes that the culture is not there yet. Of course, it's changing gradually. Gender norms are becoming more equal, but it will take time.
I think the medical benefits for the elderly is important because the cost is getting more and more expensive these days.
Cheaper healthcare, that's the most important part. Yeah, right?
Support for healthcare costs for the elderly, of course, would be very welcome for families. Yeah, but it comes at a heavy financial cost to the government too. So many other countries that do offer very generous healthcare subsidies do feel the strain.
We've already seen two big packages: the Pioneer Generation Package and the Merdeka Generation Package.
The MEDISAVE top-ups in 2019 for Singaporeans from the Pioneer Generation and Merdeka Generation cost the government about $270 million.
These two packages are very healthcare orientated. They assist with the healthcare medical costs.
Those who want to retire and don't want to work anymore, then maybe the payout will be important for us so that we can use the money as of when we need it most.
If we are going to live many years after that official retirement age, taking your payouts earlier will mean that you have less to draw down upon. What has happened from 2016 was the introduction of the Silver Support Scheme.
The Silver Support Scheme provides additional support for elderly Singaporeans who had low incomes throughout their lives and who now have little or no family support, and is targeted at the bottom 20% of Singaporeans aged 65 and above.
It is a state-funded pension scheme, and I think that scheme is a nice starting point, but that could be enhanced. My feeling is that the payouts and the coverage of that scheme, there's scope for it to be sort of increased.
I would want to see a little bit more on the education of reskilling.
The resources are there. I think it's awareness that is a bit lacking. Like, what are the initiatives the governments are promoting? What are the areas of the gaps in terms of productivity, the skill sets that's not relevant?
Of course, the government has the big picture. It's ultimately up to the workers themselves to figure out what's best for them.
We have Skills Future, we have a lot of WDA, Workforce Development Agency led initiatives to allow for workers to retrain.
The Skills Future programme, established in 2016, has more than 285,000 users today. It launched its newest program, the Smart Estates Talent Development Program, in November 2019.
The practical challenges here are for the workers themselves because they are oftentimes trapped in doing the day-to-day. They do not have the time nor the space to understand the challenges for their own careers.
The PIC scheme was implemented, but I think they've removed that scheme. If it could be reinstated, it would be really helpful.
Inherently, the PIC is a good idea.
The Productivity and Innovation Credit Scheme expired in 2018. It allowed businesses to enjoy 400% tax deductions and allowances for qualifying expenditure.
It's simple, but it was probably too broad and not as targeted as it perhaps could be. With a refinement, there could be a reintroduction of this in the future.
Rental can be crazy because it's all by landlords and people purchase this building. I definitely would hope that the government can help. Maybe have a little subsidy or something for the rental here. That would really help.
Rent is a tricky subject. Maybe giving a grant is not necessarily the best way to do this because all you're doing is essentially paying money over to the landlord.
It's better to help businesses with their costs more broadly rather than targeting particular items. Properties do benefit from rent control, of course, because it's cheaper.
Rent control is a government program that places a limit on the amount that a landlord can demand for leasing a property.
But it creates a shortage, basically, of properties for rent.
As you can see that actually we don't have a lot of local Singaporeans to be joining FMB.
Allowing us to have a slightly lower quota, especially for small companies, would really help us.
If you are always reliant on foreign labour, that is, to my mind, an economy that is not so resilient. Yeah. So what is that minimum level of wage that would be required to attract a Singaporean to work in that space?
Minimum wage is the lowest remuneration that employers can legally pay their workers.
The response will be for Singaporeans as consumers, as taxpayers too, as to how much we can tolerate to pay for that good or service at the right price.
I don't know, my personal view is, of course, always more financial help is welcome. Whatever monetary help, financial help the government gives, it comes at a cost. Somebody must be paying for it. I'm very wary of increases in benefits of various sorts. Because who pays?
I think we also need to be very mindful of those income levels or the household, the means testing levels that are introduced. They shouldn't be left to become historic, so that they reflect the needs of Singaporeans in general.